This is Wednesday, November 10th, 1999. Okay. And is it okay if I record it?
Oh, yes, it's all right.
It's okay?
What set a date?
I already did. Okay. I said the date. And we have Mrs. Stanley and Mrs. Pollard. Mrs. Pollard, would you want to tell me your whole name? That way we have it for the record.
Ellen Pollard.
And your maiden name?
It was Stanley.
Stanley. Who were your parents?
John and Ellen Stanley. My mother was a tailor.
I see.
And,
then you must be related to Annie Carter.
Yeah.
Are you? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Stanley, your maiden name?
Lucy Gilman Stanley.
Okay. And you are one of the famous three sisters that married three brothers, right? I learned that from seven sisters. Did you have any brothers? You didn't. Just sisters. Oh, wow.
There's just two of us living.
And you were raised at Stanley's store across the field. What's the church you were raised right across?
Calvary now. Used to be Ground Squirrel.
Ground
But
Squirrel.
it's Calvary now.
Uh-huh. And where were you raised, Mrs. Pollard?
Where was I raised? Down near you are almost in sight of the Hollows. Yeah, that's where
Oh, you were raised near me.
Yeah.
So you were raised on the farm that you live on now? You were? Oh, I didn't know that. So that,
I knew that you were living over there, but someone told me that you'd moved.
Really? No, haven't moved.
Yeah.
So where was the home place?
Home place was on back further.
From your house? Very good. So what school did you go to?
Goodall's.
And that was almost in sight of your house?
No, it was 2 miles from my house.
Was it that far? Oh, okay.
It's, Dr. Larry bought some land from Bernard, and when they built the house, and he wanted some horses, and he turned their little schoolhouse into a barn.
Oh.
And it's still standing.
And Bernadine, I'm hoping, will let me see through it, see in it and what's in there.
Oh, yeah.
That would be fun.
Well, I think he just used it for, to store hay and feed for the horses.
Mm-hmm.
But Jim is real anxious to give it away, or somebody will take it.
The school?
Oh, is that right?
The school? Really? Maybe someone would. Yes, that's the one to talk to.
Get in touch with Barbara Bruce, because she...
Is that right?
Yes, indeed.
I will certainly tell him, because he said that, they're living in Dr. Lara's house.
Mm-hmm.
And they bought that, I guess, last year.
I had heard they were. That's wonderful. When you went to school, then, did you walk to school, or you...
When we first started, we had a pony buggy, and
that's cute.
so that scared me to death. I just hated to go to school, because our Sunday school word, but had to get it,
Get back in your cart?
The cart.
Well, who drove it?
Tom, my oldest brother.
And
well, John did too. He drove it in the afternoon when they took turns. I felt safer with Tom than he was trying to, every tree see on the road, he wanted to,
It is close.
yeah, close. Yeah, close.
he was a hot rodder in a pony cart. That's neat.
Yes.
Well, how many children rode in it? How many would this pony cart hold?
3.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lucy's husband, he had to ride back in the back of it. It was 2.
Oh, that's right. Your
I married her
husband,
brother.
your husband was her brother. So was he the hot rodder or the other one?
The older one.
The older one.
Well, the older one
Okay.
married another sister.
Oh, okay.
John married
Nanny.
her sister.
So, what would you all wear to school? Did you dress up much, or what did most of the children wear?
No, we just had homemade clothes.
Your mother made
Was that
them.
during the Depression?
Yeah, I was looking. I thought maybe she had one with the shoes that they used to wear.
What kind of shoes, or did you go barefoot?
Oh, we had to wear these old lace-up shoes,
High top.
high-top shoes.
Oh. And your mother made the clothes, you said?
Well, not all of them. My aunt made a lot of clothes for us, but I didn't like them because she'd put a hem in them like that.
And then let them down every year?
Yeah.
Who was that aunt?
Aunt Effie, my dad's sister. She didn't have any children, and she made a whole
Close to
Were they
That's Tom Stanley, his name.
were they feed sack dresses, any of them?
Well, no, I don't think then there were feeds because it wasn't any chicken houses to buy
The
feed.
feed. I see. That was all the rage when I was young in the 50s.
Yeah.
Feed sack dresses.
Well, I
Mom made
wore
me.
them later on.
Did you?
After I got married, I wore feed.
A lot of these feed sacks would have a border on it, and Mama
Yeah.
would put the border around the bottom of the dress. And I thought I was all fancy. So, Mrs. Stanley, you went to, you said a school back of Stanley's store.
No, it's between Stanley Store and Ashland. Oak Lawn. And Elizabeth Moody taught there. And Margaret Moody. Margaret Moody was my first teacher.
Elizabeth Moody?
I thought she taught there.
Yeah, that's my sister, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I knew it. And I think she taught Bruce, my sister.
Now, what year was that?
Oh, Lord.
I don't know.
I was born in 1918. Then, we had to be 7 before you went to school. Do you remember that?
I
So
think
that
I
was-
can.
That would make it about 1925 that I would have started school. And Margaret Moody, I know just as well what kind of dress she had on that first day of school.
What kind did she have on?
It looked like what we call linen.
Margaret Moody now?
Margaret Moody. She was my first teacher.
Now, Margaret's my first cousin.
Yeah, I knew that. I married Walter. Yeah, Frank Walter.
Hey,
Uh-huh.
I just want to look for her number, that's all.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, but
Thank
now, something tells me Elizabeth Moody,
She could
she
have.
did teach there.
She probably did, and she taught also at Rockville. I thought,
Is that
I believe Rockville was her first school. Lillian Pollard
mm-hmm.
and Elizabeth, my sister, roomed together at State Teachers College at Fredericksburg.
Yeah, oh, is that
And I believe Mary Edith Waller, who married after
Yeah.
Dad. I believe those three were real close.
Mhm.
They used to come home, a lot. And I thought that Lillian and Edith, Mary Edith were two of the loveliest girls I'd ever seen.
Yeah, Mary Edith taught Peg and B.A. both at the first and second grade.
Yeah, but that time was...
Yeah.
Well, now that, I can't recall,
It was a 4-room school, 2 rooms up and 2 down, big hall in between.
A wooden
Yeah,
school?
wooden. And I don't have any idea when it was built or, but when I finished 6th grade, they sent us to Montpelier. And I stayed in Montpelier until I was in my senior year. They sent us all to Rockville, this side of the river. All went to Rockville.
For 1 year?
Yeah, so I graduated from Rockville.
I see. Well, when you...
Did you walk, or how did you get
No, now, all I can remember are these old buses, like, more like a truck.
Yeah.
But I know the teacher, Elizabeth Hope, Elizabeth Hope
Yeah.
taught there, and she boarded over near Elmont. and she and the son of one she brought with, they drove a pony and a horse, cart, and but all of us, we just went in. So, like I said, I really call it a bus, but it wasn't much.
So you had but 4 rooms, 4 teachers, and how did they divide it up? 2 or 3 grades to a room?
Margaret Moody took first and second. Elizabeth or whoever was the next one, third and fourth. And then Elizabeth Hope and Miss, she was Miss Moore, Miss Napier.
I've heard of it, I can't recall.
Yeah, I'm sure Elizabeth taught that.
Yeah.
Anyway, those 2 teachers had the 5th, 6th, and 7th. One would teach subjects.
And did they have a regular blackboard?
Oh, yeah. And we had a long bench. We had the seats, too, but on each side of the wall was a long bench. I think we didn't have room enough for the desk.
Did all your sisters go there?
Yeah, Honey didn't go there. Maud. Bruce was the last one who went there, the one I think that Elizabeth taught.
Who is the youngest one?
Honey.
And then who was next?
Maud.
And then Bruce.
Bruce, and then me, then Nanny, Reba, and Carl.
And that's 7. Your mother, when you were all teenagers.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But I really can't think much about my childhood. I mean, at home,
Wonder why.
But now, her sister can tell you anything that happened years ago.
That's something.
And I was with her half the time these things happened, and I don't remember.
It's the same way. Barbara Noel has a pretty good mind.
Mine was good.
In my mind seems to be almost gone when it looks back,
That's the way I see.
Well, when you were at school, did you have any chores?
Yeah, I had to milk. We didn't have a brother, and Reba never did milk. She made it like she's scared of the cat. All the rest of us always need milk and had to get in wood and everything, because my dad had kept a store.
Oh, it was your father that had that's where the Stanley store, of course.
Well, first it was my grandfather, Pereira's. It was Pereira's store. My mother was Pereira.
I see.
And then my daddy took it over. It was Gilman's store. Then my sister took it over when she married her brother, and that's how we got Stanley store.
Now, Lucy, the store that you grew up with is not the one it is today, is it?
Parts of it is. They've added on, but
I mean, when the store located right across
the road.
The place she was born and raised, and then
That little store, it's a little building. There's an electronic place there.
Oh, no.
Like that.
You know where the old 33 goes right by my house?
Yes.
Well, see, that was the main road.
Oh, you're right.
And the older house is where this house is now, where my mother was raised in an old house.
And the store?
And the store was right across the road. And 33 was right between us. Of course, it wasn't
And the store's not still standing.
Yes, part of it. They have moved it. See, the highway department got the land from my dad to come all across the field.
Mm-hmm.
And they moved the store up there, and a bungalow that was right next to it. They moved them up there, but of course the store has been added on.
Which part is old?
Right in the middle is all I can tell you, because both sides I know were added on, and there wasn't anywhere near as small as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, they have living quarters in the back.
Right. When back to the school, did you use wood to heat the school?
Oh, yeah.
And who took the wood in?
Well, the boys mainly, but if it looked like snow and all, we all got out there. And, just piled it up in the closets.
Oh, really? And who would cut the wood?
Oh, no. I'm asking those older boys. I really don't know.
Interesting. What about water? Where did you get water from?
Well, we had a pump right at the road that went into the school. And the boys would, haul the water to it.
Mm-hmm. Will you tell Lillian exactly where that school was? Can you tell? I didn't know the name of the people
but
but where It's located, you said,
It's beyond Amaroose home.
Yeah.
It's in
Well, see, Amarouche right inside of me, almost. It's like you're coming on to Ashland.
Is the school still standing?
No, it hasn't been added.
another home is built there, and who lives in that house?
Brady's, now they probably could tell you something, because they went to the school, and then they had built where the school was.
And they're still living?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
P.L. Brady. She was a betcha, and they went to school when I did.
It's an older house they live in?
No, it's a brick, well, it's two. The road that goes in there used to be the main road go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And they built right here, the sisters.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, they married brothers. No, two of them married brothers, but not the others. And they have their own. I tried to get Effie yesterday, that's Miss Brady, but I never could get her.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe, she might could
Come.
tell you something. But it's P.L. Brady if you want to call her anytime.
Thank you.
And, do you have phone book, Dave?
I'll look it up.
Sure.
I'll look it up. Well, what about you? Did you all have to carry wood in, Mrs. Pollard, over at this Buckall School? Goodall, pardon me.
No, the boys always carried wood in.
And you didn't have an indoor bathroom?
Oh, no. We did it.
You did, right?
Yes.
So was it one outdoor bathroom or two, girls and boys?
Yes, they had. I think they had two.
Yeah.
So that's the way it was at those schools. Interesting.
And
I'm not sure of whether it was two, because, but I'm pretty sure.
And that was a one-room school.
That was just a one-room school.
About how many students would you say you think went there?
I guess it was about 10 or 12, something like that.
Students? So it was quite small.
Yes, it's just one room. And, so maybe say 15.
Imagine, that would be a teacher's delight to have 10 or 15 students.
the thing they're starting from the first grade
All the way.
7th every day.
The lesson plans would be difficult. What families went there?
The Pollards and the Thomasons and...
So Alice Lou's dad probably went there.
Oh, yes.
In fact, Mr. Luck, I believe, did mention him.
John Abbott Luck.
Uh-huh.
He went there.
The Hollows. Didn't some Hollows go?
Yes.
Harlow. So it was just within a little walking or pony cart distance.
Well, no, we lived about 2 miles from the school. And, I guess we lived further than in the rest.
You did. Lillian, can you think of anything else to ask them?
I don't know. It looks like you covered it pretty good.
Well, I know. One thing, when it was recess, every kid loves recess. What did you do?
and you want to ask them, what did they carry for lunch?
Oh, yes. Oh, first of all, what did you take for lunch?
At the house.
I don't even
No pizza.
That's the easiest thing.
But I remember one fact, you know how you remember children what they had. And it was one person that had chip beef sandwiches. I didn't know anything about chip beef. I thought they were the best looking sandwiches.
Did you trade up? Did you trade up?
Yeah, we used to trade. I don't think I ever got that chip beef. But I used to just look at her eat that. That was Effie Brady.
Yeah.
Effie Betcha. And she had the best looking chip beef sandwich. Well, I've never seen chip beef, like it.
I doubt it came in a glass like it does now,
Yeah.
But
They used to trade,
trade
I know
lunches.
one of my sisters, when she went to Elizabeth, the oldest, and I don't know if y'all remember Elsa May Hall in Maryland.
Yeah.
But of course she's passed away now, but when she was when my sister was in a hospital, she visited her, and her mother went to school with Elizabeth.
Oh, is that?
And she said, Elsa May, your mother was so sweet, and she said she bought the best damson preserve just every day, and I gave her my sausage biscuit for her damson preserve. And And that went on for instead she said, I can taste them now.
And you had these kind of tin buckets. I think molasses came in.
King syrup or something like that.
Some of that stuff came in.
And that was your lunch
Lunch
bucket.
bucket.
Was that what you took? A
No,
bucket?
I think we had a little small lunch box.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that I took them, but I remember seeing a lot of them having them.
I don't know what the boys, maybe the boys took the
The
you
bucket.
know, that little bucket. And my mother made the bread for us until we went to Montpelier. I went to Montpelier when I was in the 5th grade. Then she bought the baker's bread.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they weren't biscuits, they were light bread. That we, and peanut butter. I got so tired of one light bread and peanut butter. And,
I talked to one lady, and she said that they would each sometimes take a little thin piece of country ham on their biscuit, and it was just a tiny little piece, and she would take the piece of ham and keep moving it across the bread with each bite, so it would be enough to last for the whole biscuit.
Well, that was always when in the fall when the butchers that you had a plenty of fresh meat, you know, and you always had good fresh meat to go on a biscuit.
Well, what games did you play at school?
I don't remember any games. We went for recess, but
Did you have to take exercise? Was it?
yeah, they had to take exercise.
And you were graded on
maybe
that.
dropping handkerchiefs.
Oh, yeah, drop the handkerchief.
Well, that was exciting, wasn't it?
And then the county, you know, had a relay, don't you remember, in Ashland every year.
Well, that was after we went to Montpelier.
Is that right? Well, they had it when I went to Oklahoma because people used to laugh and said we started practice running.
Yeah.
You know, first of the year.
Yeah.
And it was in the springtime?
Yeah.
And what was involved?
Well, it was 4 people, I believe, and one started out with a
Like a
stick.
stick, you know,
Yeah.
and run and give it to the next person, and then run and give it to the next one.
And it's called a relay. How far was this race?
Well, this was, I don't know, it was a circle we had, but down at Randolph-Macon where they had it, it was a big, huge circle. Yeah. And there, see, it would be one school against another.
Uh-huh.
And whoever came
What
first.
other schools did you go against?
We
Elmont and,
Beaver Dam?
Yeah, Beaver Dam.
and you all did.
Yeah.
But I don't know, when we were at Oklahoma, I know it was Elmont and probably Paul Ashland. I don't see, that wasn't far from
That's
Ashland.
right. Elmont and Ashland.
Now, what other small schools were around in your area?
It was a black school,
Yeah, that,
Where was that?
well, that was near where Bishop, now, I can't think of the name of it. It was St. Mark's School. It was right up the road from where I live. That's Crossroads.
At the corner of
Wait,
Scotchtown?
Yeah.
Go to the chicken house?
Huh?
You go to the chicken house?
No, it just was, places from here. It wasn't, no, a little bit more than that.
I know. It's where the black man lives now.
Yeah.
Up there in the corner back of my house. It's before you get to the chicken house. That little crossroads. One
Yeah.
way leads to the fire tower on 54 and the other way leads over to 33. And then you can come to my house one way right there. And it was a black school.
Would that have been the church that's right down on that road, right down there a little ways? What is the name?
Yeah, that's a church. I don't.
That's a white, I think, for white.
Oh yes, white. I never.
But the black school may be pulled
But
down.
when they closed Goodall's and we went to Montpelier, they turned that one into a black school.
Oh, they did?
Did they?
Now,
Good old,
That's good.
that's interesting, yeah.
Get that.
And so they went from St. Mark's up to Goodall School. The
Mhm.
blacks did. Uh-huh. I didn't, no one had mentioned that. So that school, any others, like over towards Scotchtown? Do you know of any?
Well, it's Niggerfoot.
School.
But I will read better put that in.
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale.
Yeah.
It was a school over that way?
It was a school, a one-room school at first.
How
I
about
tell you, Mrs. Wickham taught, then they built this,
what Wickham's that? A Madge, Gladys?
Brian Wickham, I think.
Oh, Miss
Older
Bryan.
Mrs. Bryan with them.
She was a Gibson, Brian Jr.'s mom.
She taught that in Oklahoma one time.
What area?
Did she?
Yeah, she taught my sister, she taught me, and they always...
So where exactly was that at Scotchtown?
Well, it's, before you get to Scotchtown, it's,
After you
Thank
cross
you.
54?
Is it close to the Downing?
cross 54 and go straight, in front of the fire tower and all
Oh,
back in there.
Okay. Right under the fire tower, sort of back where Mrs. Bumpus is?
Yes,
Okay.
It's,
Is it, there's a little building back there that looks like a little schoolhouse.
Yeah, but I thought...
Was it on the right side?
You know, like Bob Dam.
no, it was on the left side, I think.
When you leave 54, was it? Okay, well, we'll
Then
have
they
to find
built,
someone that
two-room school with an auditorium, you know. And,
close to it.
And, of course, they have classrooms in that, but they had that large enough, have some entertainment, and they used to have,
I think I'm listening
breakfast, school, I mean, I don't know what they were called, you went around and the mothers baked things and sold them.
Oh, like a yard sale,
Yeah.
a bake sale.
Bake sale,
Mhm,
yeah.
There. What did you all do for entertainment at school? I mean, like, did you have any programs at the end of the year or any time during the year?
East egg hunt is the only thing I...
Yeah. And a spelling bee. They had spelling bee.
Right. And what was involved in that?
The best spelling.
The best spelling bee lines all up, and whoever stood up along the story.
Yeah.
They would,
Was there a prize or it was just the honor?
Then they would enter another county.
Yeah.
I went to the whole county. They had
Oh.
in the county.
They-
And where would they hold that?
Probably in Ashland.
I imagine.
Or someplace.
Yeah.
I can't recall.
No,
Were you all good spellers?
No, not all.
Didn't win the bee.
But talking about eating, what we did, talking about bringing in wood and all, in the winter, they would make, people would bring vegetables and all, and the teacher would make, bring a soup
Oh.
on top of this old stove.
A wood stove.
Wasn't that a smart idea?
Yes.
And hot chocolate was another thing.
And that was
And that tasted so good, you know.
Smell it stewing all morning.
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds like I could like that
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, but I thought that was kind of unusual.
And so one would bring beans and one...
Yeah. I think it teaches more or less saw, who was going to bring what. I didn't get in touch with the parents. I don't know. But
Send a note home.
yeah, it was
Beginning
good.
of a cafeteria.
Right.
Yeah. But I didn't see that big pot, on that stove.
A big iron pot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the teacher,
Iron stove. The teacher tended to.
she was the one that put the wood in, probably.
Yeah.
Kept that going. Did she have to get there much early, sooner than the other children?
I wonder. I don't remember that, but it ever being real cold when we got there, but I
You
don't know.
don't. When you're young, you don't think
No,
about
you don't
that.
think that.
You don't worry about
What
cold.
transportation did they get out in? Did they ride a horse, or how did they get there?
Now, if Elizabeth was one of them, which I'm sure she was, it was Margaret Moody,
I won't find out.
Elizabeth Hope, Margaret Moody, your Elizabeth, and Elizabeth Hope. and they boarded down at a Miss Dad. Coming
You're right now.
Yeah.
Something's ringing a
In
bell.
Elmont?
No, on the road from my house to Ashland.
I see.
It was, I think, about 2 miles from the school they boarded. But I don't know how they got there. I know Miss Moore at one time had a, car, but that was, I don't know.
Later
first.
Well, now, Miss Chisholm taught here somewhere. Did she?
Oh, she taught at the Goodall.
Did she,
Not when I was going to school.
before you?
She taught, on Mrs. Francis Barr,
Yes.
and she's the next one we want to see.
Up there in the western Hanover, very western
Dan
Hanover.
Barr's mother, and Lee Stanley's mother.
So Miss Chisholm taught there for just a short while at Goodall?
Maybe a year, maybe 2 years. I don't know which. But she didn't teach me.
Where did she live? Do you know? When she taught there?
Well, I think she drove a horse and buggy, rode a horse and buggy. I don't know whether she ever got an automobile. Did she ever?
I can't recall.
She did, of course, when she was teaching me. She taught me first grade. Everyone in Hanover, in Montpelier, Miss Chisholm taught.
And she had a car then.
She had a car then.
I think she just rode a horse. Yeah.
Oh, but not all the way from the other side of Montpelier, did she?
Yes.
Oh, she came that far?
I think so.
That's a long way to Stanley's store from the western part of Montpelier.
Stanley's store.
Well, that's true. Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's not too far from Dr. Stanley.
Actually, she probably came down that 657 Greenwood Church Road. She cut through there at Lone Oak.
Like you all used to go right.
Yeah.
So that isn't so terribly far. You're right. But it was plenty cold, though, in those windy days.
What about, did your parents order your clothes, or did they go into town and buy them? Or,
Well, some Sunday clothes, they most always went in town to buy.
Where would they buy them? Where did they shop?
Down Broad Street.
Downtown?
Downtown.
Was there a Miller and Rhodes and Tallheim's back
It
then?
probably wasn't hungry. They get
There was a Kaufman's
Yeah.
Down there?
on the corner of one of those streets not far from Millen Road.
Then it was,
All the men, that was years later when I remember all the men bought their suits and all from Simon Sickles.
You right
Yeah.
now remember that.
They couldn't have a suit unless it came from Simon.
That
They
was-
did have nice
Did
clothes.
they?
You're right about that.
Yeah, but
And where was that
That's
located?
on Broad Street, too.
yeah, that was below
Coming
Tallham. It's going on back towards the other way, wasn't it? Simon Sickles.
You mean more toward down in the bottom?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Near MCV.
Yeah.
How about that?
And I know,
not near MCV. It was out this way.
Simon Sickles?
I drove near Brook Avenue.
Yeah,
Oh, well, I'm mixed up with another store.
You were talking about Jacob.
Jacob and Levy. That's the
And
one.
Green Tree.
Green Tree,
is
yeah.
what I was saying. Yeah, that's other side of Tallham. Was down that way.
What about the children in school? Did the teacher have a behavior problem?
Yeah, sometimes but not everything back, with the boys anyway.
She'd have to get after them. Did she ever have to discipline them strong?
You spank them.
Big time, like a spanking?
They'd take a rule and
Spank you on the back with a hand.
Really?
Yeah.
but they didn't ever do anything to harm us.
Yeah, of course
They
not.
need a little bit of that.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's a lot different today. Where did you get water from?
My uncles lived near the school. His children went, and they had 2 buckets, and the boys went over there and got the water.
From their home. Was it a covered bucket, or they just weren't? They didn't.
Just a galvanized
Bucket. Huh?
Everybody drank it the same dipper.
No, I think we used to have little cups or something.
That everyone I've talked to has mentioned those folding up cups. That's why I wanted to see Andrews. I didn't get to see it up close that day that he gave that speech. That was such a nice talk that day. Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed
I
it.
taped it.
Good.
It was fun.
She's very interested in antiques and all.
Good. Well, I think that's nice.
Is he still building those little houses back there?
No, not much doing much building. He isn't too well now. He wasn't feeling too well today.
Did you ever see them?
Even I didn't know.
Yes.
He has heart problems.
I'm
Well-
sympathize with it.
Are there any little incidents that were fun that you can remember from
Did you
your school?
did y'all give each other draw names for Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
That's an incident.
Yeah, that's the one.
Everybody put the name and folded it up and you
Dropped it in a bowl or a hat or something, and then you would draw a name in that.
And give that person a gift? What type things did you give as gifts?
Now, that just can't be.
Everybody got names.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that.
I still have all the handkerchiefs that I got when
Yeah,
I was
I
in
bet so.
school, because we didn't have tissues like you throw away. Nothing was throw away, and that was just the 50s.
Yeah,
My initials and lace and different things on it. So,
I know I used to make linen handkerchiefs.
Did you put lace on it?
We do that. We'd draw the thread. And,
Oh, that's beautiful.
Hem
The-
stitch. Is that hem stitch?
the cut,
yeah, I did some of that too.
the cut work, where you pull the thread and there's little holes in it. Is that what you, in a design, a pattern? That's beautiful. I don't know how to do that.
And we used to make beads too, kind of, they were,
got a seed, right?
What about sugar pins? Did you ever make beads out of sugar pins?
No, but I've heard of it.
You know,
We used to eat chinka pins.
You put a needle through it, and they would make a, and then if you got hungry, sometimes you need to beat off.
Acres, they used to make them out of acres.
Yeah.
And then smaller, like navy beans or something they made.
Necklaces. Would you dye the beads? I mean, the beads.
I don't remember Diana, but I imagine some of them did.
Sounds
They
interesting.
do with what we had,
And we were just happy that we'd been real rich.
and the older people, would make Christmas presents.
And what would they make?
Like polar cases, and brought us some polar cases. And,
To give to other family members. Sounds
And
beautiful.
Yeah.
People back then made or grew most of the products that they used, which is
I
admirable.
know. We went to Ashland, and my mother would always give us one of those pennies suckers, it was a candy with that little ball on top.
Oh.
That was all we would get.
Yeah, big to do. Well, we used to go down to Bill Beasley's store, and that was like going to Nolan Road to Shawham's, later on.
What would you get there?
Well, I
Lillian?
mean, they had everything. It was a two-story building.
I remember it when it was W&W, Wickham and Whitaker.
Well, that was long.
Was that a different building?
Yes. No, it
Had a porch on the front?
Sam Roos dead.
I didn't know that until Lydia told me. That's interesting.
We should have asked Emma.
We're going to go and talk to her.
But it was always close. The store was right close to our home, and my daddy used to go down there every night to find out all the news.
Yeah, that's what he used to do at home at this store. That
At
they
Stanley's
come around and
store.
sit around and
Now,
talk.
did you all go to any mills with your dad or your grandfather?
Yeah, I remember going with my daddy to the grist mill, and I got sick coming home, and that was my last trip. I never was
What
going.
mill was that? Was that the Ashland? Or was
It was Stanley's mill on the river, before you get to, let's see, where Andy lived, it was backing down.
I know, right there
Yeah.
on Cedar Creek.
Back there. Yeah.
There was a mill back there?
I think so.
Just down
Yeah.
from Ground Squirrel Bridge, just down the river? But that would be slightly
Yeah,
down the river
slightly,
from Ground
yeah.
Squirrel.
That's right, that's right.
Now, was there ever a mill there where I live, you know, go winding down up to the one-lane bridge?
You mean right across from the
Yeah,
clubhouse?
Gilman's Mill. Did they have a mill, Dee, at Gilman's Bridge? Was it a Gilman's Mill?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes, well, I don't know who, but her grandfather ran this other one you were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, your grandfather?
But I don't see that me. I don't know who would have run it.
That was a grist mill,
Uh-huh.
and they ground corn and wheat.
I don't know whether they ground any corn. They made flour.
A flour mill.
A flour mill. And the several little
They had flour.
buildings that were ground, you know, corn.
Mm-hmm.
To bake with,
Cornmeal. Well, just for my own information, who lived in the house after you cross Gilman's Bridge and go up the other side from my house, the golf course?
It was
That old house that sits back on that curve,
where the cemetery is.
right in front, a
Well, that's
cement
out.
wall.
That's where our family cemetery is. All
Is
the
it?
Gilmans, my grandparents,
Your
grandparents,
parents
great-grandparents, my husband, all.
are
And
buried there?
I'll be buried there.
Right
Really?
there, Bob Kane's place.
Yeah, just before you get Bob King's
Uh-huh.
place. That was originally a Gilman home. I don't know how far back it went.
That looks like a very old
And
house.
it used to be a beautiful place with all these big boxes. Don't you
I
remember
love
that?
it.
Yeah.
It's still standing there.
Yeah, and
It's
it's,
pretty. Is
um,
it rented out, I believe, isn't it?
I don't know.
Was Bob Kane rented?
Her brother owned it at one time,
He did?
but then he sold it, and Bob Kane bought some of the land.
That's a nice place, and it goes down to the river.
Yeah.
I usually go that way when I go to town or to Ashland. I just love winding down to the
Yeah.
river.
That's where Bill and Ed Gilman, were they buried there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's a large.
Now, what
But
about Bill Ed?
Bill Ed, he wasn't buried there. I think somewhere in Richmond, wasn't he?
I don't know. I just
Oh, maybe where Miss Isabel, are they at church?
Yeah,
Was he buried up there?
No, they're
Church of Our Savior.
Church of Our Savior.
Who?
Doris.
Yeah, I knew she was.
Miss Isabel Martin Murray buried over the Church of Our Savior.
Oh,
Well, I would like to see that cemetery sometime.
be glad for you go. I mean, you just go and let it people.
How many graves are there, do you know?
Well, all my uncles now. Let's see. John Dick Gilman, you know him.
Oh, yeah.
His parents, and of course, my grandparents are the same as his. I mean, we first cousins. I know it's 1, 2, 3 uncles and their wives, and one aunt and her husband, my parents, my grandparents, sisters on the Gilman side.
Who are your grandparents on your mother's side?
Perea. Now,
Perea.
that's a cemetery right at my house now, the Perea and Walker. See, the Walkers were connected with my mother. But I know it's my grandparents and
Grandparents on your
great-grandparents.
daddy's side.
Mm.
Who are your grandparents on your father's side? What Gilman?
John Dick and Nanny Jane. Really, not Nanny, but named for John
Who was
Dick.
Nanny Jane before she married John Dick? Your grandfather.
Nanny Jane. Pretty. We're killing something pretty down.
Okay.
Yeah, we. My grandparents on my mother's, on daddy's side, were pretty, and something pretty as daddy, and my daddy was first cousin.
Mrs. Pollard, now a little bit about your family. You've mentioned your parents. Who were your mother's,
My mother was a tailor, and
and where were they from?
they were born, my grandfather was born at Scotchtown. And,
Where, actually at Scotchtown, in the
In the building?
in the building. I mean, the old historic house.
yeah. And my mother was raised where Betty Downing
Oh, we got right.
lived. And
Where is that?
That's right, down the road from that Ebenezer church.
Oh, okay.
that's where she was raised. And she just had one sister, and the first 2 years they went to school, they had to go over in Caroline.
Did they?
That's right.
To our aunt's, house. And then the Camels built I think it was 2-room school, and that was a private school. You had to pay to go to that.
And where was that 2-room school?
You know where you go on from there, Glen Cairn,
Glen, yes, I do.
Leslie Campbell.
The Glen Carn
Leslie Campbell.
on that
and
farm.
all them.
That's where the 2-room school was. Who taught that?
The sisters taught us, well, they were really kin to us too. Cousin Maud, Cousin Fanny, and no, Cousin Sally didn't do. She was a hardball. She didn't. And then
What was their last name?
Campbell.
Campbell. Okay. And they taught.
And Cousin Jenny married Carter Red. Now, young Carter Red owns Glen Cairn.
Right. So is the school still there?
I think so.
What was
Is
the
it?
name of that school?
Glen Carn.
I don't recall that, and I don't think Bob Bruce is aware of that.
That it was at that farm, the Campbell farm. And where is the building so I can look for it?
Well, it would be on the left-hand side.
When you're looking at the old house.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
Well, Hugh Camel and them could tell us something.
Well, Leslie.
Yeah, they could tell you more about it than I know, because it was...
When would that school have been attended? You said your grandmother attended that school?
No, yes, my grandmother. No, my mother.
Your mother. Okay. She was a Miss Taylor.
She was Epping?
No, F is, Dad is, yeah, now they had to drive over
What's the name of your mother?
Ellen,
Ellen.
Johnny, John Stanley.
And who was she before she married?
She was a tailor.
Well, her name was Ellen Taylor?
Ellen Temple Taylor. She's got
The same. My middle name is Temple.
For some reason, I thought your mother's name was Epping.
No, that's Aunt Effie. She never had any children.
She's the one who sews
Made
your clothes.
Those dresses, now she didn't make them all. My mother would make some, and
Would she sew with one of those treadle machines?
yes.
Not all by hand.
No.
They made sheets and everything back then, didn't they?
I can remember my father speaking about going to dances with your mother and father.
Is that right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, they used to.
Where were the dances?
In the home.
In their home.
Really?
You didn't think anything about the floor, you just let it.
They didn't have the good finish like today.
Well, they looked good before they started dancing, but the house I live in now, when I had the floors redone, I don't know if that was about 1965, and he said, well, why is this first room so much rougher than the others? I said, that's where they used to hold dances.
That's from the 7 daughters dancing with their bows.
They went around to all the homes, didn't they? And Al Ruth said that hall place that they used to have down there.
Over there at Beasley's, That, I didn't realize they danced.
Oh, yeah.
Would you roll the rug up? Or?
And you didn't have
Well, you didn't have any rugs much. I mean,
Linoleum.
yeah.
And you didn't have a big band. You just had about 2 or 3
Yeah,
picking
her brothers would play, and
They were
Owen used to play, and Franklin, and,
Owen and Franklin, yeah, they all
and Ray. Ray.
Are they your brothers? No, they would be your brothers-in-law. Yeah.
But her brothers did play.
People made their own music, huh?
Yeah, we had a good time and didn't realize that.
Our daddy used to
And
smoke
have to-
cigars,
No, we didn't
and
expect that.
our 2 older brothers made of them
What you will get for
some play, you know, they fixed it up with the wires and all. They used to play with that before they ever had like a guitar.
Played on a cigar box with wires. Can you imagine?
What was that now?
Tom and we always called him Brother John because Daddy's name was John. They made him with a little wire. Now I don't know where they got that little wire from. Maybe they had to buy that, but they used to make
Make their own music?
yeah, like that.
They'd string it on a cigar box.
How about that?
Isn't that clever?
That is real.
You don't know. Does anyone have one of those left?
No,
I
I don't
would
think
love
so.
to
Wouldn't
see
that
it.
be treasure?
Wouldn't it
We
be?
used to throw everything away. Now, you think about it now.
You mean of the antique type thing?
Yeah, if something broke, you didn't have it fixed, you know. You know, I remember we had a beautiful table with these big glass balls, you know. And the legs broke down and it was just away.
And they have repair?
Yeah,
Treasure now.
yeah.
It would be. Well, where did you attend church?
Man, all of it.
So you had a ways. I mean, it was a good little step. Did you
Yeah.
ride in a buggy, a family buggy?
I don't remember ever riding in a buggy to church. We went visiting there.
Would you walk to church?
No, we had a car. I don't know, a Chevrolet car was the first car Daddy bought. And
30s,
no, back
20s?
yeah.
Neat. And then what about you? How did you get to church? You walked right across the
Yeah,
road.
we were going to church right across the road there.
So that was handy. You could go flying out early or late.
But I always thought that I never could understand when, now that was a 1930 model. Dad had bought a car with a rumble seat. Now, there were 7 girls. Why would he want a car with a rumble seat? And I read
The girls ride in 3 of them.
yeah, 3, sometimes 4, you know, it puts you now. And think about what we look like when we got somewhere with the house. But it's always wondered why he would buy a rumble seat car. We couldn't, over 3, get in it from. Sure.
So you couldn't all go somewhere at the same time.
Unless you followed either.
That's cute.
That was a 1930.
Mama said that they had a something with fringe around it when she was real little. I guess it was a Surrey with a fringe on top. Was that what, like the song? And then later, her daddy bought a car, and I have it written down what kind it was, but it was the first one that was bought in that area. And he got it on a Saturday, and he drove up to church, to Holly Grove Christian Church the next morning, and it wasn't a soul in church. The preacher had to come out and get everything. They were inspecting it, the men under the cars, under the hood, looking in the trunk,
They've been paying
to
the sermon that morning, rather.
They wanted to see that car.
And then these cars came out, you know, you had to put the curtains up.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
you remember that? In the women.
Why was that?
Well, they were open.
Open.
But you
No
had...
glass, you mean?
It was
Glass.
yeah, I was what did you used to call that stuff that looked like glass?
Isinglass.
Isinglass. These are black, ran outside cloth-like. and an eyeglass.
That you could see.
Look at it.
Look around and see through.
Yeah. But they had to put those on in cold weather.
That's funny. And in the summer, you just had the windshield, no sides. Let's hope it didn't rain.
Yeah. Well, you had those things in case it rained to put on.
Yeah, the sides.
Oh, you would. So it wasn't too difficult to put them on
And
in a hurry.
And sometimes, well, can you lay the tops back sometimes?
Yeah, yeah.
They sound quite sophisticated
That
to
was
me.
sporty when you had, one like that.
Yeah.
But too, you had, if you went out in the winter, I always think that her family, you had to put water in the car before you left.
Why was that?
Because they had run.
It would freeze, they didn't have an antifreeze.
Oh, and you would drain it every
Drain it when you got home.
You're kidding.
But they had a place up there used to have, I heard them talking about it not long ago, that used to have dances. And it wasn't very far, but they would all walk up there.
From Ellen Temple?
The mother and the child, dad and all the children.
And I remember that. That was, Dad had built that little house, and I think it was 3 rooms, and for a man to help him on the farm.
And you used it for dancing?
Yes, and then, of course, then the boys grew up and they worked on the farm, so he left, and then we used to have dances up there.
But
I forgot all about that.
I used to have food, take food, and
But her sister said they get home, they walked up there. And so when they got home, the feet were now frozen, so cold, and the mother would just fix a pan and put all the feet in it. But she asked her older brother, said, well, why, we have a car, why didn't we drive it? He said, well, you'd have to put water in it when you got left home. You'd have to take it out up there while the dance was going on because it would freeze. And then you'd have to throw it up again. And,
Too much trouble.
yeah, so they walked.
That's cute. It's like me with a computer. I shouldn't be saying it on tape, but to me, it's easier if the library had an old-fashioned card catalog that I could just go to. Now, I go and I have to ask for help from the librarian. That's more trouble than an old. I asked her the last time. I said, "Don't you have a card catalog stuck under the desk somewhere?"
speaking about laying the tops back, at our home, Papa would have the top back.
Right.
And we went somewhere on a Sunday, I think, to my mother's home. She was born and raised at Norwalk, Virginia. And going down the road, I discovered, we looked over in the back, and there was a whole setting of eggs flying on one side to another,
The hen had laid eggs. Did your mother drive?
No, I don't think
Your father was driving.
Very few women ever drove.
Well, it was a real.
We had a car, but she didn't drive. And speaking about, and I remember my aunt used to come up and spend several days, and we would visit someone in the community, and she couldn't drive a car. So, but my father would hitch up a jumper. A two-wheel, and I was just about 4 or 5 years old, and I remember I was delighted in that jumper. I was sitting in between, those three was on, and to see that horse going, it was more exciting than riding in the car.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, thank you all so much for your information.
I didn't know much to tell you.
Oh, you just told us so much, and also to have it on file for the children to do research from the schools, and Barbara hopefully can someday get her little school museum going, and that would be fun. And then what we would love to have is have the children in the county come at some point, 3rd or 4th grade perhaps, and have a field trip to the old school. Barbara and I have talked about it. And then they would each portray a person that went to a small school. So who knows, maybe the things you've said, a child will someday portray you and be you at school. That would be fun. And they bring their lunch in a little lunch bucket and have to bring in wood and things like that. I think it would be fun for the students.
Yeah.
So I'll turn it off. I did put the date. And Lillian Duke, and I'm asking the questions, Gloria Woigan.